Listen close and heed me well, young one, for there is an art to being hexy. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. And today we are going on with the first edition Pathfinder Shaman guide, today covering your hex selection. If you'll excuse the pun that I threw out there at the intro of the video, we should have some interesting and very useful things here for you that will just further help to round out the usefulness, utility, and power of your shaman. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. Now, let's go ahead and start rolling on into things here, because it's after 2 in the morning. So, to start things off for hexes, unless stated otherwise, hexes take a standard action and don't provoke attacks of opportunity. Massively useful thing that you really need to keep in mind there as you make use of these. And the saving throw DC is 10 plus 1/2 your shaman level plus your wisdom modifier. You will learn hexes at level 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, and 20. However, at level 6, you will select one temporary hex each day from your spirit or spirits, and at level 14, you pick up 2 temporary hexes each day. So this is either from your main spirit or whatever wandering spirit you may have bound yourself with, which, if honestly, I should probably think about just advancing my guide style along with the rest of what everybody else had ended up doing for Pathfinder, because that's hugely useful. It's like, take the bone spirit for example. Yeah, a lot of those abilities, they're not really going to be useful in a lot of campaigns and most of the situations you may find yourself in. But if you do end up in a situation where, hey, maybe having some of those hexes turns out are going to be very useful, you could very easily find and bind a bone spirit temporarily to yourself and really make great use of those. And there's so many other spirits out there that just make for incredible wandering spirits for you to have at your beck and call. So something to really think about here. In fact, those two levels, that ability is going to probably be one of your most useful as a shaman. But now for the actual hexes, at 2nd level we want to pick up Misfortune. This one is just a tried and true staple for both the shaman and the witch. Target creature within 30 feet must make a will save. On failure for 1 round, anytime they make an ability check, attack roll, saving throw, or skill check, they must roll twice and take the worst result. At level 8th and 16th level, the duration extends by 1 round at each level. All rolls are affected for the duration. Regardless of save, this target can't be subjected to misfortune again for 24 hours. So, that's incredible right there. Even if you can only have that last for 1 round, making it so they have just such a terrible time, because statistically they're going to end up failing at least something over the course of that round. So it's going to be very useful for you, but it is unfortunate that it's only going to last for just those small handful of rounds at most, and that you can't affect them again. However, your next selection is going to cure you of that particular problem, because we're picking up Chant. Chant as a move action, and any creature in 30 feet affected by Charm, Evil Eye, Fortune, Fury, or Misfortune hexes has the effect extended by 1 round. You can't have this hex and Cackle, which is on the Witch's hex list, and is technically something you could select, but Chant is going to be more than enough. It's going to be very useful, as Evil Eye, Fortune, Misfortune, even Fury are going to be incredibly useful. Charm, not so much, but again, just remember, every video here is just a guide. It's not set in stone. You build the character you want to build. So if you like the Charm hex, it fits with your build, go with it. Then at 8th level, we are going to select Lure of the Heavens. At first level, you no longer leave tracks. At 5th level, you hover up to 6 inches off the ground or liquid surfaces. And at 10th level, you fly as per the spell for a number of minutes equal to your shaman level. Leaving tracks, I mean, that's neat. That's pretty cool. But it's really the hovering 6 inches off the ground or liquid surfaces that are going to be our staple for this, because that means you are going to be unable to trigger most traps that involve you touching the floor. You're going to this is a great defensive option, and also being able to hover above liquid surfaces, that's great to have. And then flying as well is just a lot of great tactical utility there. And the fact that it lasts for a number of minutes equal to your level, I mean, at level 10, that's 10 minutes worth of flight. That is so many rounds of combat. You do have to spend it in 1 minute increments, but still, that's going to get you through most fights pretty reliably. Then we go on from there to level 10, where we are going to pick up Fortune. For 1 round, target creature in 30 feet. They can reroll 1 ability check, attack roll, saving throw, or skill check and take the better result. They have to decide to use this ability before the first roll is made. At 8th level and 16th level, the effect extends for 1 round, and bear in mind, you can use Chant to keep extending this. Then at 12th level, we're going to grab Evil Eye. Target in 30 feet that you can see takes a -2 penalty to either ability checks, armor class, attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. This lasts 3 plus your wisdom modifier rounds. So even if you just have a wisdom modifier of 16, that's 6 rounds where this is going to be in effect. This increases to a -4 at 8th level, so by the time we pick this up, it's just going to be a flat -4. However, a will save reduces that to just 1 round, but again, you have Chant to help negate that little issue. Now, you'll notice here that your options, I've kind of rated a little bit differently. Armor class is probably going to be a pretty safe go-to for this, as well as saving throws, because they can end up making any number of saving throws, and having their armor class just permanently reduced by 4 is going to be great, because really there's only so many ways for a target to really increase their armor class. Attack rolls, there are more options and ways of expanding that, so attack rolls tend to have some pretty significant bonuses. Now, certain targets will certainly feel the effects of having a -4 penalty. For example, think like rogues or other character classes that don't have that full attack bonus progression. Same thing for certain monster types. Their attack bonus progression isn't all that high compared to some. So other targets will feel the effects of that differently. So you want to be strategic in how you plan this out. But armor class and saving throws are probably going to be pretty solid go-tos there. Skill checks is just going to vary incredibly wildly depending on the situation. There are some skills that it's just like, okay, that's not going to really do too much, but say somebody in heavy armor is with not a whole lot of investment in the swim skill is trying to get to safety. Well, a -4 penalty to that might just be enough to really start to affect them. And top it off with the fact that you could be having allies really affect their ability to swim, and becomes a very, very awful, terrifying recipe of disaster for them. Now, going on from there, we come up to level 16, where we are going to select Witch Hex out of our Hex options, and we're going to pick Slumber off their list. Target creature in 30 feet must make a will save or be under the effects of the sleep spell for a number of rounds equal to the shaman level. Unlike the sleep spell, however, this can affect a creature of any hit dice, which is the real Achilles heel of the sleep spell overall. That's a very significant limiting factor there. The fact that this just opens it up to any number of hit dice is great. Then at 18th level, we're going to grab Fetish. You get Craft Wondrous Item as a bonus feat and a +4 insight bonus on spellcraft checks to identify magic items permanently. Now, this is a late grab, and I'll admit, maybe it's hard to say that it's not an optimal choice, because if you grab this earlier, you can start making wondrous items much earlier. But at this higher level, you have a broader range of spells at your beck and call to allow you to make different items. So, and not only that, but these other hexes do a lot to really debilitate your opponents or to enhance either yourself or your allies. So right here seems to be a pretty ideal place to get. There's only one other hex to select, and that's at level 20, but not many campaigns make it to level 20, and you've picked out most of your optimal choices that you're really allowed to get, because you can't select major hexes or grand hexes off of the witch's hex list, and all the others just really vary in their quality, so that's something to keep in mind there. However, for our wandering hexes, there's two I'd like to point out as options to consider. Benefit of Wisdom, which comes off of the Lore Spirit. You want to pick this up at 6th level and make frequent use of this, because this lets you use your Wisdom modifier on all intelligence-based skill checks instead of your intelligence. That's going to go a long way towards making those skills that much more valuable and reliable for you. Then at 14th level, you're going to snag Heaven's Leap. Standard action to target self or ally you can see within 30 feet and move that creature as if using Jester's Jaunt. Can't target that ally again for 1 day. Now, Jester's Jaunt is a little bit hit or miss, but it has a lot of tactical uses, and Heaven's Leap works really nicely as a temporary hex grab, because you can swap this out pretty reliably, and the fact that you're not stuck with it really makes it much more valuable. However, there's one more option we're going to go over here, one more hex out of the Lore Spirit, and that's Arcane Enlightenment. This really got highlighted in Illusory's guide to the 1st edition Pathfinder Shaman. Really recommend you look it up, because Illusory just makes awesome guides overall. Very in-depth, covers a whole broad swathe of options available to the different classes, and it's not tightly focused, so there's a lot more information to go through, but if you're willing to go through it, you're going to find a lot. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Arcane Enlightenment. If you have a high intelligence score, which this build does not, this allows you to pick a number of spells equal to your charisma modifier out of the wizard sorcerer spell list. The save DCs work off of your wisdom, but you still need an intelligence score equal to 10 plus the spell level, and the spells will count as divine rather than arcane when you cast them. And you can swap these spells each time you gain a level as a shaman. Now, given that this is going to be a temporary hex that you grab off of your wandering spirit, that means that when you drop this and you can pick it back up, you don't necessarily even have to wait to select a different level. You can just keep reselecting, or at least that's how I read it. Check with your DM, definitely, but what this does for you, think about what that means in terms of, say, craft wondrous item. This expands the number of items you're able to make, and not only that, but gives you at least 3 extra spells if you have a 16 charisma modifier, because that's a +3 modifier right there. So that does a lot to open up your spell list. You can pick up Haste, which is just an incredible spell to have. There's so many things to really take a look at there, and it's only limited by how high your intelligence score is. But bear in mind that this means, just this ability right here means you're going to be getting a little bit mad, because that's multiple ability dependent, because you're going to need a high intelligence score, probably at least a 16 to get some worthwhile use out of this. Level 6 sorcerer and wizard spells tend to be really great, but if you can get a 17 or 18, even better. Now, the thing and then not only that, but you're going to want to have a high wisdom score, because the save DCs work off of your wisdom modifier. So all 3 of your mental stats, ideally, you're going to want to have relatively high, just so you can gain some good benefit out of this. And now, if you've got a limited amount of points to buy your stats with, this is going to be hard to pull off. The higher you can go, the better. Really, this is probably going to work out well for builds that are able, or for characters that are able to be generated using the roll 4d6, discard the lowest, and generate your stats that way. Because otherwise you're going to be having to really look at your physical stats and tanking them just a little bit, dumping them enough to get the rest of your stats brought up to a point where they're going to be useful. And that's going to be pretty dangerous to do, especially since a shaman is able to be built to be very melee capable, very spellcasting capable, very skills capable as well. So there's a lot to balance, a lot to think about there. So if you're able to roll your stats doing 4d6, drop the lowest, and all of that, then you stand some pretty decent odds of at least having a pretty good spread of stats. I know me, I've frustrated my own DMs plenty of times showing up with some good stats, having to re-roll them, and coming out with better stats afterwards. Sorry, but side note, I'm getting sidetracked there. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know either way, and we'll engage in discussion in the comments down below. And remember, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.